in these minutes and so forth, or added? If not, all those in favor of the approval of these monthly meeting minutes signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Ayes have it. How about it, Scott? Is Kate on the phone or anything?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. I think she's the only other member of this committee. We have, first of all, I don't see Brian. Is there anybody here from the sanitary district?
No, Mr. Chairman. Brian was able to email me just after lunch today. He has a conflict down at the sanitary district, so he apologized for not being able to be here today.
I'll tell you what, he's been super about his attendance, so we can give him an A on that. The second is, of course, our facilities master plan, and Mark, are you going to make some comments about that, please?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll update you on a couple items. We did get an update on the boardroom and the 402 AV system upgrade. We're now looking at November. We're still waiting on parts, so that's been pushed out a little longer, but we do have a hope that November will come through. One thing I added as an FYI on the list was the main water softener failed out of the JDC over the last few weeks. We had it looked at. Recommendation was to replace it, so we've got a replacement water softener system for the JDC on order. I just wanted to make sure you guys were aware of that. Last month, we were waiting on the domestic hot water boiler repair. That has been completed at the jail, so that project is done. You guys approved about a month ago the clip project for the jail also. Parts are on order for that. And the other item on my list is the IT space optimization of public defender space. We're actually bringing forward today information on that project and funding to continue to move that forward. Two other things I want to update you on. Over the last 2 weeks, we've lost 2 facility staff members. The person we had assigned to the JDC left and took a position elsewhere. And then on Friday, we lost the gentleman who was taking care of the outside gardens and stuff here. He left and took a position elsewhere. So we had full staff, and now I'm down 2 within a week. So we're back to looking again. So it was unfortunate because we were fully staffed and we were getting some stuff done. And now we're back to where we were before. So now we've got to bring jail people over to JDC to support them, and I've got to bring people from inside here, outside. I had guys outside this morning doing stuff. So, and we didn't quite get all the flowers planted out there. So if anybody's got time in the afternoon wants to come plant flowers, we've still got about half of them to get in. So.
Well, we used to have a lot of flower children around, I know that, especially during the era of the 60s. Anybody got any questions for Mark? Okay, thank you, Mark. And you might as well stay right there because I think you're up first on our agenda, and we need a motion to have to do with what he said he's been working on, and that is the remodeling of the Recorder of Deeds office. So we'll take a motion from Betty and a second from Rob. If you'll go ahead and proceed with that, Mark.
So if we go back to January 2019, we had brought in Dewberry in late 18 and early 19 to do a facility utilization analysis. I don't know, all of you should have got a copy of that. There's a copy of it I brought with me today. And out of that, they surveyed the entire county, all the buildings, went through all the offices, and came back with a number of recommendations. And a couple of those recommendations we're going to bring forward today for funding and for bid, from the bid standpoint and design standpoint. A couple of the items on that list will be coming later because some of them have to do with the healthcare campus and moving of folks into that building. So those will come at a later time once we get some of the Regional Office of Education changes done. There'll be more come. But the two we're bringing forward today is the Public Defender's Office, which will, the recommendation has been to utilize the old Recorder of Deeds office. And the also is the remodel and optimization of the current IT space. Earlier this year, I believe it was in February, we brought in Dewberry to do a space utilization analysis of both those spaces. They spent time with both offices going through needs. They went through our infrastructure. They looked at electrical needs. They looked at wiring needs. They looked at HVAC needs. I mean, they went through all that and then came back with several recommendations. We went through multiple recommendations with them on those, and they had several user meetings, and we finally came down to the point where both groups agreed upon a space utilization. So now in front of you today is a contract for Dewberry to go into the next steps, which is the architectural and engineering and actually construction services to take both of these projects to bid. Questions?
I asked my question before the meeting too, Mark, and I was hoping that maybe he could get all of his people here and not have to have them work from home, but he said that they still will still have to rotate some of their workers and so forth at different times, and so he still needs some space, I guess.
We still have a few of our staff that still rotate in and out. Actually, that's something we started prior to even COVID. We had brought forth an internal policy for IT. It's pretty much become standard in the IT industry today from an IT perspective. I think I have 6 or 7 that do that. The rest are within the facility. The utilization of the space, if you've gone through and looked at the space utilization, is really a massive downsizing of the computer room. Computer room today takes about 1/3 of our space up. We're going to shrink that down to a very small computer room. I have about half my staff today, I don't know if you've been down there and toured it, that sat in a climate-controlled computer room all day, and they all wear sweatshirts, and they all sit in about 65-degree weather. From my perspective, in my 29 years in IT, this is the first place I've ever been where people have offices in a computer room. Computer room is usually a locked room with lights off and nobody's allowed in. I have half the staff in there, and I have courthouse staff in and out. I mean, it's not the place you want people in and out all day. So that's part of it. We've also got part of this is the decommissioning of the Halon system in there. This still has an old Halon system in, so that'll get pulled out and we'll upgrade that. The other part of this is I have 2 of my managers was set in small cubicles today about the size of a broom closet, and so it gets them actually offices, and it restructures the place and gets our managers near their workers, and it's just a better use of the space.
So what you said, basically, it's a natural thing for your department to work in this manner.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? I just wanted everybody to be aware of how his department operates. Anybody else with a question for Mark? I know he probably would like to get out of here since he's at the top of the list. Calling for the vote on this resolution. Everybody in favor of it, signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Okay. We got the second resolution. Now, I think Amy's in this from here on out, aren't you, Amy? You're in this from here on out, right?
Correct.
Okay, and you're not even going to get any assistance from Jeff because Jeff went on vacation. And the first one has to do with the Cedar Hills bid. We had a thing on Cedar Hills a while back, and so we need a motion on that. Motion by Betty, seconded by Rob. All right, if you'll take that off of Route 40.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is east of Route 40, down the hill as you're going to the Mossville area. We see a lot of truck traffic down there. A lot of concrete trucks use this route. We're looking to do a mill and overlay. We went for bids, and we got one bidder of R.A. Cullinan received the bid. We'd like to proceed with that bid and let them get to work, hopefully this summer. So we are recommending the committee approve the award of R.A. Cullinan to do the overlay on this section of Cedar Hills Drive.
I remember we had discussions on this earlier. It's been probably 2 or 3 months, and the road is kind of a windy road, and it's breaking up, especially on the side there and so forth, and it needs constant repair, and so this is work that we really need to do, and you'll notice that the contractor calling, it's about $1 million bid. It's close to $1 million. And I know everybody wants to get the exact figure, 987,000. Hey, to me that means it's almost $1 million. Anybody with any questions for Amy? All those in favor of the recommendation, accepting the recommendation that we take the bid of R.A. Cohen, signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Ayes have it. And we will next move on to our one on the construction engineering, which would deal with this particular phase of this Cedar Hills Road. Motion by Dylan, seconded by Betty.
This is for the item that was just approved for the construction project. Since the highway department doesn't have the staffing to oversee this project and it uses our motor fuel tax funds, we need a qualified person to oversee the project. We're recommending Herman and Associates to oversee the project, the mill and overlay project of Cedar Hills Drive, and would recommend that to the committee.
Did I hear you say who the engineering firm was?
That would be Herman and Associates.
Okay. And it comes out of motor fuel tax.
Correct.
Anybody with any questions for Amy? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed to this resolution signify by saying no. Ayes have it, and we'll move on with the next resolution, which has to do with Glen Avenue, which is underway. I was by there the other day, so we need a motion on this particular resolution. If I could get that from Betty, and seconded by Rob. And I was looking to see what page that was on. That's on page 60 on my hard copy.
So this is the construction project. This is a joint city-county project of reconstructing Glen Avenue from Knoxville to Sheridan and Peoria. After the construction is complete, the county will jurisdictionally transfer this section of roadway over to the city of Peoria. We went out for bids on this project, and the bids came in higher than we had originally estimated. And we are asking for an additional appropriation to cover that costs. In this case, the county upfronts the costs and of the construction costs, and we end up and the city will pay for the design costs. And at the end, the city and the county will split the cost of the entirety of the project, so we each pay the half of the project costs. So this is the additional appropriation for the additional costs for the construction side of the project.
So it's over to the budget, and you guys discussed it and felt that it was only going to get higher if we rebid it and so forth, and that's good. You made a good decision on it. Now, the money's gonna be split, the extra cost's gonna be split between the city and the county.
Once the entirety of the project is over, we will split it. We will split it whatever difference is between the city and the county, so it's equitably shared between both agencies.
But the city's gonna write us a check later on dealing with what?
The construction costs, because they paid for the engineering costs.
They're paying for the engineering, acquisition of land, and
Correct.
so the extra amount, will, we're not gonna get stuck with it.
Correct.
Okay. Anybody with any questions? Rob, and I know this is in your district, and you're probably happy to see it.
Currently in
being
my
done.
district, soon will be out of.
What?
It's currently in my district, yes, but after the election, it will be out of my district.
Oh, it will be.
It will be, yeah, because of the new map. Anyway, so I guess, is it an intergovernmental agreement that, with the city, that we have to split these costs?
Yes, we have an intergovernmental agreement that goes back to the 60s that we jointly bring up county roads in the city to urban standards. And then once the project's completed, we jurisdictionally transfer it over to the city. We've done a lot of roads like that.
So this extra cost, we don't have to do anything additional. It's just, it says whatever the final cost is, each of us will have the same amount of money into it.
Correct, but we need to get this appropriated since it's out of the county's motor fuel tax fund. I have to tell IDOT that that's what we want to use it for, so we can spend it.
Because we write the check for the construction part of it.
Correct.
And then divvy it up at the end.
Correct.
Any other questions for Amy? All right, all those in favor of adoption of this resolution signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Ayes have it. And the next resolution has to do with the bridge which has been finished, that particular project out there, and we'll need a motion to proceed with this resolution on the Brimfield Jubilee road bridge replacement. Motion made by Betty, seconded by Rob. Thank you.
This is the bridge on Brimfield Jubilee. It's, if you're familiar with where the Deer Check station is, it's in that vicinity. It was completed a few years ago using federal funds. At that time, we anticipated county staff overseeing the construction of the project. However, those staff left for other opportunities, and so we had hired a consulting engineer to finish overseeing the project. And IDOT is letting us use our construction funds that were not used on the project to help pay for the construction inspection costs. But we need to revise the agreement we have with IDOT. So what we're bringing the agreement to you to approve so we can receive our federal funds from IDOT for the construction inspection of the project.
I'm just writing some things down, people, so, okay. And this project has already been finished, and you've gotten your money from IDOT? Okay. But it was really federal money that came by way of IDOT, okay. And any other questions? All those in favor of this resolution being adopted signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. Ayes have it. And we're getting down here to our puats, which is one of our favorites because all of us know how valuable this puats has been to the Tri-County area and so forth, and we in particular have to pay our dues. So if we could have a motion by Mr. Dillon and seconded by Rob?
This is an annual agreement that the county holds with the Tri-County Regional Planning Commission. This is the county's portion of our dues to be part of the organization. This money is used for various planning activities as our match. It allows us opportunity to access federal urban funds. The county has used federal urban funds gathered from this organization for various projects, including Glen Avenue most recently, and other projects, mostly in the urbanized area. But this is an annual agreement. This is coming from the county motor fuel tax account.
This is so valuable to us. I know when I first served on Puats, how valuable it was to help the West Peoria people in doing that Sterling Hill project and so forth. This is when I found out, my gosh, we had dues of about $38,000, and we got a ton of money back through Puats to help places in the county. And the city also, of course, benefits from this. Anybody with any comments or questions? All those in favor of this resolution signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Ayes have it. So we'll move on to our next resolution, which has to do with another intergovernmental agreement with the city of Peoria. Motion by Betty, seconded by Rob.
This is an intergovernmental agreement between Peoria County and City of Peoria, the Public Works Department. The Public Works folks in the city have the equipment and the personnel to work on traffic signals and flashing beacons. They also have the equipment for pavement marking. So we use that equipment. Well, the city does the work for us, not just in the city area, but also in the rural areas. We also have some traffic signals that are in more rural areas, some flashing warning lights as well. They have the electricians on staff to do that kind of work. We've been very pleased with our work with the city. They're very responsive. They do a nice job. If we have a concern, we get it resolved pretty quickly. So we'd like to continue the agreement with the city for an additional 5 years under very similar terms. There might be some changes with regard to wages, but it's been a very good agreement. We want to continue that.
Questions? Comments? Calling the question. All those in favor of adoption of this resolution signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Ayes have it. Our last one, and this one has to do with something that we had dealt with earlier, and it has to do with our township motor fuel tax, which Amy, of course, has to handle. And I need a motion for this seal coding resolution. Motion by Rob, seconded by Betty.
This is our annual motor fuel tax seal coding agreements. We went out to bid on behalf of the townships in April. We received bids from various contractors. After the bid opening, we received a bid protest from one of the contractors. We had to take time to look into it and have since resolved that protest. Moving forward, we'd like to expedite the construction of this since it's already mid-June, since we were delayed by the protest, and would like to get these contractors working as soon as possible to get their work done. The low bid, as you can see in the agenda, was thrown out due to issues with bidding as per some of the IDOT regulations. The Township Road Commissioners accepted the second low bid, and we are recommending the R.A. Cullinan and the pavement maintenance bids for the seal coating and the microsurfacing contractors for that operation for one of the townships.
Anyone with a question or comment for Amy? We will see this again in a few days. All those in favor of adoption of this resolution signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Ayes have it. Resolution has been adopted. Moving on, we ask our learned counsel here for her advice.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This has to do with your executive session minutes that you review twice a year, and it remains the recommendation of the state's attorney's office that all previously held minutes continue to be held as the need for confidentiality still exists, and to destroy executive session audio recordings that are more than 2 years old unless they deal with pending litigation, and those would be retained.
Okay, now I do need to ask for a motion as well as a second, don't I?
To adopt that recommendation, yes.
Need a motion by Rob, seconded by Dylan, to act upon the recommendation of our council. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Ayes have it. Miscellaneous. Who's got something for miscellaneous? Mr. Dillon.
I just want to publicly thank Amy and her staff for going above and beyond here recently for some road issues that I've had in West Peoria, from taking constituent phone calls, dealing with municipalities, and trying to make sure that everything is safe for the traffic. So I know people think these jobs are 9 to 5, but she put in extra time, took calls, and her whole team did too, and want to make sure things are safe as possible. So from this board member, that team and her, top notch, and I just wanted to publicly thank her. So thank you.
I have a question for you, Mr. Dillon. On July the 4th, you have one of the best parades in the area, and I know infrastructure's causing you some problems. They're in West Peoria, because we used to go up, that is Swords Hill, right? And I wonder if, since you represent that area as well as your father plays an important role, if something has been worked out for parade participants and lining up for that 4th of July parade.
So I don't know 100% what the lineup is going to be, but they're still working on that because it usually goes around the curve. But if anybody was having trouble because of Swords Hill, I've driven it numerous times. It is a very well marked out detour sign. So if you came off Sterling and got confused, plus Google Maps has it laid out perfectly. So follow the parade route like normal, come up on access it off of Western, or park in the park off of Heading Avenue. But I think it's going to be a full parade, so they might have to sneak some of the floats into neighborhoods to go off of it. So I do not know the lineup, though, Coach.
Don't talk to me about Google, because it might be googly eyes to me. Anyone else with any comments or questions in regards to miscellaneous items? Hey, you did a great job. As chairman, I looked at that agenda, and of course Amy typically is doing a tremendous amount of the work and so forth, and our committee gets a lot of the work, but you must have read everything well. We thank Scott and his staff, Jan especially, for getting a lot of this material to us, and then all of his people that work on submitting the detailed things on all of these projects and so forth. Be no more comments, this meeting is adjourned.